Hello, my fabulous English students. Today, we're going to read a news article together so you can improve all areas of your fluency. Welcome back to JForrest English. Of course, I'm Jennifer. Now let's get started. First, I'll read the headline, which is a question. Why do parrots talk? I chose this article because I was curious. Why do parrots talk? And I decided to turn this into a lesson for you. Now, let me share some alternatives to I don't know, because someone could ask you, why do parrots talk? You could say, I don't know. But you could also say, I have no clue. I haven't the faintest idea. Or my personal favorite, beats me. Why do parrots talk? Beats me. So 3 alternative ways to say, I don't know. Put this one in the comments. Beats me, put that in the comments so you practice this one. Now, don't worry about taking notes because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can look for the link in the description. Let's continue on and find out why parrots talk. Of all the creatures on Earth, only 2 can produce human language. Humans, us, and birds. Of the few birds that can imitate human speech, parrots are the best at it. Notice here they used few birds. Few birds and a few birds are not the same. So let's look at these sentences. There are few birds that can speak. There are a few birds that can speak. So the only difference is including this article, but it changes the meaning because when we just use few, there's a focus on the lack, so not many. But when we focus on a few, it sounds more positive because there are some. So few, lack, a few focuses on some. Of the few birds, so lack of birds, of the few birds that can imitate human speech, parrots are the best at it. They give TED Talks. I've never seen a parrot give a TED Talk. Have you? They give TED Talks, speak multiple languages, and even front heavy metal bands. So here, this front heavy metal bands, it means they are the leader of that band. As funny as that sounds to imagine that a parrot is the leader of a heavy metal band, this vocabulary is specific to bands. So why can parrots talk when our closer primate relatives cannot? Good question. So our closer primate relatives, those would be apes, monkeys, chimpanzees. Now notice here, cannot. Notice that it's spelled as one word. Native speakers turn this into the contraction can't. But we'll use the non-contracted form, which is cannot, one word. We'll use the non-contracted form if we want to emphasize it. You cannot go to the party. It sounds stronger than saying you can't go to the party. You cannot go to the party. So that's when native speakers use cannot and can't in our everyday speech. Let's continue. Parrots are vocal learners, meaning they grasp sounds by hearing and then imitating them. So grasp means understand. Let's review these examples. I'm sorry, I didn't grasp your explanation. So grasp is a verb. As a language learner, this is something you've probably said before. And then you could say, can you explain it another way? Because I didn't grasp it. Or you could say, I didn't grasp the meaning of the movie. Now, keep in mind, that doesn't mean I didn't understand the words of the movie. I understood the words, but I don't understand, I don't comprehend the meaning of it. And same with the explanation. It doesn't mean that you didn't necessarily know the vocabulary or the words. It's you heard the words, but you're not sure of the meaning. So more of a deeper understanding, a comprehension.
Although several other bird species can discern and repeat sounds, parrots are the pros. Pros, this is great. She's a pro. She's a professional. So pro is short for professional. And here, because it's plural, and the plural of one professional is two professionals, that's why you have the S to make it plural. Native speakers frequently use this to compliment someone, to say you're a pro, to be a pro. So a, because it's a noun, a pro. And then here my example, a real pro. So it's just emphasizing it, making it stronger. So try this out. You can say, Jennifer, you're a real pro. Put that in the comments. And what you're saying is your videos are very professional. Your teaching skills are very professional. So it's a way of complimenting me in this case. So thank you very much. Jennifer, you're a real pro. Put that in the comments to practice that. Okay, here, discern. When you discern something, it means you can recognize it, you can distinguish it. We generally use this with our senses. So if the room was very dark, I might not be able to recognize objects. So I see there's an object, but I can't discern it. I can't recognize it. I don't know what it is because it's too dark. So they can discern the sounds. They can recognize and repeat sounds. Very impressive for a bird, for a parrot.
Are you enjoying this lesson? If you are, then I want to tell you about the Finally Fluent Academy. This is my premium training program where we study native English speakers from TV, the movies, YouTube, and the news so you can improve your listening skills of fast English, expand your vocabulary with natural expressions, and learn advanced grammar easily. Plus, you'll have me as your personal coach. You can look in the description for the link to learn more, or you can go to my website and click on Finally Fluent Academy. Now let's continue with our lesson.
Any bird that's a vocal learner has a part of the brain devoted to this, called the song system. But in parrots, the song system has two layers, an inner core, common to all avian vocal learners. Avian is another word for bird species. So all bird vocal learners, the category of birds, avian, all avian vocal learners, and an outer shell, which is unique to parrots. Some think that this recently discovered shell is what allows parrots to be such expert mimickers. Oh, mimicking. Children do this so well. When you mimic someone, we'll just imagine a parrot. You say, hello, how are you? I've never had a conversation with a parrot. Hello, how are you? And then the bird says, hello, how are you? That was embarrassing. So that's mimicking. Children do this all the time. Young girls, we see our mothers putting on makeup and we sit beside them and we brush our hair and we put on imaginary makeup. And I'm sure young boys mimic their fathers as well by pretending to saw something or do something else. So mimic is another word for imitate. Notice here grammatically that this is a noun. A mimicker is someone who mimics, does the verb, the action of mimicking. Just like a learner, you is someone who learns. So in this case, they're using it as a noun. And I just thought of another everyday example, comedians. Comedians are excellent mimickers. Often they mimic celebrities or politicians in a humorous way, and that's a large part of comedy, is mimicking other well-known people. Maybe you do this just to make your friends or your family laugh. Let's continue. But why do they copy, mimic? That will be another word, copy, mimic. But why do they copy human speech? Beats me. Remember that expression? Beats me. What else? There were two other ones. I have no clue. I haven't the faintest idea. Beats me. My favorite. Peer pressure. Oh, it turns out. Do you know what peer pressure is? Well, your peers are the people in your specific group. So if you're in school, that's your group, and your peers are all the other students. If you're in an English class, your peers are all the other students. So it's the other people in your group. If you're part of a sports team, all those other people on the team are your peers. So when those people pressure you, peer pressure, it turns out parrots naturally try to fit in. Do you know what this means? When you try to fit in, you try to act like your peers. You dress like them, you watch the same movies as them, you listen to the same music as them, because the more similarities you have, the more likely you are to get along and be friends. Now, of course, we all want to fit in. So if it's your first day at school, at work, at a new hobby, you want to find commonalities and similarities. You want to fit in. So parrots want to do that as well. Parrots naturally try to fit in, be it among other parrots, their peers, or other people. Interesting. I added all the notes for you to review. Remember, you can download the PDF in the description. Let's continue. In the wild, parrots use their vocal prowess to share important information and fit in. So here we have that sense of belonging with their peers, their group, with the flock. Oh, so here, a group of parrots is called a flock of birds, a flock of parrots. Prowess, that's a fun word to say, prowess. That means great ability or skill. And in this case, they're limiting it to vocal prowess. So parrots have great ability and skill when it comes to their vocals. So for a singer, you could say, for example, Adele, the singer Adele, she has incredible vocal prowess. If you don't know Adele, listen to the song Someone Like You. You will be blown away by her vocal prowess, her vocal skill. Let's continue. Pet parrots have all the essential conditions for picking up language. See this phrasal verb, picking up language. When you pick up a language or you pick up a skill, it means you learn that skill, but without consciously studying. So you're just exposed to the language or the skill, and from that exposure, you learn it. You pick up new vocabulary all the time. So you're not sitting at your desk and consciously studying. Maybe you're walking down the street and you hear a conversation in English and you learn a word. You picked up that word. So it's a great way to learn. And apparently that's how parrots learn. Well, of course, they're not sitting down in a classroom and learning English. They just pick it up by mimicking their owners. So what are these essential conditions for picking up language? Time, inspiration, and mental ability. Wild parrots, on the other hand, lack the needed close proximity to speech. So wild parrots, they can't pick up the language. They can't imitate people because they're not close enough to people. And I love this, on the other hand. So this is used to show a contrast. We have 1 point with pet parrots, learning language, picking up language, but then we're going to have a contrast. On the other hand, wild parrots aren't learning the language. Let's review this. It's a little bit long because you need to have a positive before you use on the other hand and then transition to a negative. However, it can be reversed. You can start with a negative on the other hand and then mention a positive. So here's a positive. Owning a pet parrot is amazing. I love the company and admiring the beauty of my pet. On the other hand, so even before you say anything, I know it's going to be negative because that's what this means. On the other hand, it wakes me up every morning at 4 a.m. with its vocal prowess. Okay, now you don't have to, but you can start the positive with on the one hand and then transition to on the other hand. On the one hand, on the other hand. You don't need this part, it's optional, but you can include it. So that will make you sound very advanced when you're expressing a contrast. On the other hand, lack the needed close proximity to speech. Yes, that was the wild parrots. Let's continue. The question is, do these precocious birds know what they're saying? Ooh. Precocious is an adjective meaning showing advanced mental ability, especially for the age, or in this case, the species. But we commonly use this with children. You might say the precocious child easily picks up languages. So the child has advanced mental ability for that child's age compared to that child's peers. And the child easily picks up, learns without consciously trying, picks up languages. The question is, do these precocious birds know what they're saying? Again, what are those 3 ways to say, I don't know? Beats me. I have no clue. I haven't the faintest idea. For parrots, words may have some associations, but not complex meanings. Parrots may associate saying, how are you, when someone enters a room, but they likely don't understand that it is a question of one's well-being. So every time someone enters the room, it's common to say hello. So a parrot understands when you enter a room, say hello. But the parrot doesn't necessarily know this is a polite way to greet someone. It just knows new person arrives, say hello. Interesting. I learned a lot today about parrots. I hope you did as well. And of course, more importantly, I hope you learned a lot of advanced vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation. So now let me read the article in full from start to finish so you can focus on my pronunciation. Let's do that now. Why do parrots talk? Of all the creatures on Earth, only 2 can produce human language, humans and birds. Of the few birds that can imitate human speech, parrots are the best at it. They give TED Talks, speak multiple languages, and even front heavy metal bands. So why can parrots talk when our closer primate relatives cannot? Parrots are vocal learners, meaning they grasp sounds by hearing and then imitating them. Although several other bird species can discern and repeat sounds, parrots are the pros. Any bird that's a vocal learner has a part of their brain devoted to this, called the song system. But in parrots, the song system has 2 layers, an inner core, common to all avian vocal learners, and an outer shell, which is unique to parrots. Some think that this recently discovered shell is what allows parrots to be such expert mimickers. But why do they copy human speech? Peer pressure, it turns out. Parrots naturally try to fit in, be it among other parrots or other people. In the wild, parrots use their vocal prowess to share important information and fit in with the flock. Pet parrots have all the essential conditions for picking up language, time, inspiration, and mental ability. Wild parrots, on the other hand, lack the needed close proximity to speech. The question is, do these precocious birds know what they're singing? For parrots, words may have some associations, but not complex meanings. Parrots may associate saying, "How are you?" when someone enters a room, but they likely don't understand that it is a question of one's well-being.
Did you enjoy this lesson? Do you want me to make more lessons just like this? If you do, then put a bird emoji, put any bird emoji in the comments below. I don't know if there's a parrot emoji. Is there? Well, if there is, you can put it in the comments below. And of course, make sure you like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can click here to download it or look for the link in the description. And I have another interesting lesson for you to review right here. So watch it right now.